They're gonna do the crime, do the butt play time. Let's get into it.
Breaking news, TJ Lane, the Chardon High School shooter, on the loose right now. He escaped this evening from a prison in western Ohio.
20-year-old Chad Padilla was...
Bro, let me tell you something, bro. Every single one of these school shooters have something in common. They're chopped. Like, bro, if I was a girl, and be real, I would be a pretty ass girl. If I was a girl and this nigga approached me, I would have called the nearest cop or pull out my taser and tase him for sexual assault or harassment or indecency of public nudity, something like that, because of his face.
Found unconscious Monday in his cell near Texarkana. Investigators believe he committed suicide.
Most school shooters would rather take their own lives than face the horrors of prison. But for those who survive the aftermath, life behind bars is like a descent into hell, filled with regret, threats, and sometimes even death, as seen with the infamous Italy school shooter Chad Padilla.
Italy?
Convicted of shooting a classmate in a North Texas high school cafeteria back in 2018. Has died in prison. January
22nd, 2018, 16-year-old Chad Padilla, who attended Italy High School in the Ellis County town of Italy, Texas, took a .380 caliber handgun into the school's cafeteria with one mission: to put an end to a teen couple's relationship. Now,
to put an end to a teen couple's relationship. Nigga, that is a dedicated hater right there, bro. That is a hater of a fucking lifetime. You so much dead ass hate these niggas so much that you're willing to kill them and do a time in jail forever just for someone not to receive love. Damn.
Before this, Padilla had accumulated a long history of violent behavior at this same school. One classmate, Cassie Hook, who claims all the warning signs were there, told authorities about Padilla making a hit list of people he wanted to murder back in 8th grade, and her name was on it. Then in 2017, a year before the shooting, Padilla got angry during
But y'all niggas already saw the fucking warnings and y'all didn't even go do anything about it.
class and threw a pair of scissors at her friend, and later threw a computer against a wall. No one knows what the repercussions of his actions were back then, but now he was about to send an innocent girl to her grave. And the motive? He was jealous of her relationship with this other dude. At least that's what authorities believe. On that dreadful day, Padilla, concealing a weapon, walked right up to his classmate, Michaela Jones, who was enjoying lunch with her boyfriend. Kayla noticed him look pretty angry, so she tried to give him a hug and told him to sit down with her. But Padilla backed away and said, "Sorry it had to end this way," before drawing out his gun and opening fire on her. Michaela managed to run outside the cafeteria. As Padilla chased her, she didn't get too far before 6 bullets were lodged in her neck, abdomen, and foot. Other students took the opportunity to run outside the cafeteria while Padilla blended into the crowd to escape. But this escape was short-lived, as many witnesses had identified him to law enforcement as the shooter. Padilla, who had also texted his parents to say he loved him and to apologize for what he was about to do, didn't resist when Ellis County police officers pulled up to his home with an arrest warrant. Chad Padilla consequently pled guilty to attempted capital murder and 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon after it was confirmed that Michaela survived the attack. In 2019, he was handed 2 40-year prison sentences to run concurrently and would have been eligible for parole after 20 years. But barely 3 years into his sentence, Padilla was mysteriously found dead in his cell. At around 1:50 a.m. on March 21st, 2022, Chad Padilla, now 20 years old, was found unresponsive in his cell by jail staff at the Barry B. Telford Unit Prison in Texas. He was taken to the medical facility where EMS and paramedics confirmed him dead. No records show what exactly happened, but his death was ruled a suicide. This marked a hauntingly fitting end for Padilla, a man who had brought so much pain and devastation to others. Some believed he got off easy.
Now let's see what he did here wrong, bro. How the fuck are you so dead ass jealous of another nigga's relationship with a girl that you had to take her out? See, bro, you can just pay a stripper, a hooker, or just take a random, you know, when you're in high school, when you got those hoes, right? Like Pops, everybody mess with them, everybody fucks them. You can just fuck one of them. Nigga, it's not that deep. It's just one female. There's like 3 billion females out there, bro. There's a fish for everybody, bro. No matter what kind of Where are you? There's salmon for everybody.
And deserved a far more brutal fate. However, the story of this next school shooter takes a different turn, as he was stupid enough to stir chaos within the walls of his prison facility. January 18th, 1993, 17-year-old Scott Pennington took his father's .38 caliber revolver and discreetly placed it in his duffel bag-style backpack as he was heading off to East Carter High School in Kentucky.
Why, this is where I live.
At around 2:45 p.m., Pennington walks into his 7th period English class and pulls out that gun. His teacher, Deanna McDavid, was his first target. He missed the first shot. Students started screaming, and Mrs. McDavid asks, "What are you doing, Scott?" His cold
What are you doing, Scott? Nigga, he just point blank range shot at you and missed. Other niggas ran out of the class, your students ran out of class, and you're gonna stay here and say, "What are you doing, Scott?" Bro, that's just natural selection.
The response? "Shut up." The next shot hit McDavid square in the forehead, instantly killing her. Students really believed this was a staged drama skit, but the sad reality was that Pennington wanted to kill her for failing him in her class. At least by his standards. You see, Pennington's anger toward Mrs. McDavid had been brewing for some time. She'd given him a C on his midterm English exam, which tarnished his otherwise impressive academic record filled with A's and B's. Now, Pennington had asked her to reconsider the grade, but she refused, infuriating him even more. But it wasn't just the grade that concerned Mrs. McDavid. It was the disturbing content in Pennington's writing assignments that kept her up at night. His essays, specifically one about Stephen King's novel Rage, were filled with violent imagery and themes of death, leaving McDavid wondering how much of it mimicked what he read and how much of it really reflected his inner thoughts. She'd even raised her concerns with fellow teachers, fearing for Pennington's mental state and worrying he might harm him.
Fearing for his mental state and worrying him. Bro, the signs were already there. Like, if I was a teacher and I know dead as one of my students was about to shoot up the place, nigga, I would have just called it quits. I would have just went to another school and got a job there. I don't care about you niggas. You niggas are just gonna grow up and be the same person that I am.
Himself, and this is why she refused to change his grade. But Pennington, believing he was too smart to get a C, drew up a plan to take her life. So after he successfully did that, Pennington took his classmates hostage, initially holding them all inside the room. Shortly after, he allowed 2 students to leave, and over time, he let more go in pairs. By 3:01 p.m., the remaining 5 hostages were released, and Pennington walked out of the classroom, surrendering to 2 armed officers waiting just outside.
Let's see how
In
it
the
looks.
aftermath of this tragic event, Pennington revealed his motive to be his clear dislike for Mrs. McDavid and his hopes of receiving the death penalty. Well, they didn't give him the death penalty. He was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole. But for some reason, Pennington, or should I say Mr. Smarty Pants here, wasn't satisfied with the damage he had done. So while incarcerated at the Eastern Kentucky Correctional Complex in West Liberty, Kentucky, he brutally attacked a contract food service employee within the facility. The employee, Joanne Smith, was so injured that he had to be flown by a chopper to the hospital, where he sat in there for months. Thankfully, though, he survived that attack, while Pennington was charged with first-degree assault. It's crazy to think that, given that this attack happened in April 2014, and Pennington would have been eligible for parole in January 2018, he'd served 21 years of his sentence, but for this action, he was handed an additional 20 years. Now at 48 years old, there's no telling what Gary Scott Pennington might do next in pursuit of that death penalty he's craved for years.
48 fucking years now. Nigga, just kill yourself. Kill yourself, bro. If you're that desperate to die, just go ahead and kill yourself. You're doing the world a favor.
And with this new sentence, he might never walk out of those prison walls a free man. Speaking of being free, this next school shooter tried to break out of prison, but had the worst plan for it.
In Ohio, a teenager convicted of a high school shooting that killed 3 students is back in custody after daring escape overnight.
Chardon shooter T.J. Lane, the 19-year-old convicted killer, has been taken into custody after escaping in the Allen Correctional Facility in Lima, Ohio.
So we have bootleg Michael Schofield, T.J. Lane, thinking he can pull off a grand escape from prison, but his plan fell apart faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. And this came after Lane had orchestrated one of the deadliest school shootings in modern.
Bro, why don't these judges just let these, like, angry dads or angry moms who got their kids killed take their rage out on this nigga right here, bro. Like, bro, if I know my kid got killed and I can take my hate and rage out of this nigga, I can. I can't because...
History. February 27th, 2012, Chardon High School in Ohio became the scene of a tragic shooting that left 6 students wounded and 3 dead. The shooter, 17-year-old T.J. Lane. Now, Thomas Michael T.J. Lane was a sophomore at Lake Academy, an alternative school for students with special needs.
He was retarded too?
Issues with a fellow student named Russell King Jr., who had allegedly been threatening him. This made Lane hit the gym and prep for a fight with that dude.
Let's see.
Now, we're not sure if that fight ever happened, but it did lead to him bringing a .22 caliber handgun. And
with the silencer too, my nigga, you was trying to fiend. He was trying to catch everybody that day.
offloading bullets while students were gathered at the school's cafeteria. And it's no surprise that one of the first victims he targeted was Russell King Jr., along with 5 other students Lane apparently hated. Lane later claimed that he ran out of bullets and rather than reload, he simply waited for police to arrive. 3 of his victims, including King, died from their injuries in the days that followed. On March 1st, 2012, Lane was charged as an adult with 3 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of attempted aggravated murder, and 1 count of felonious assault. This was when his attitude took a dark turn. At his sentencing, Lane takes off his dress shirt, revealing this white tee with the word killer scrawled on it. Unfazed by his sentence of 3 consecutive life terms without parole, Lane made headlines for uttering this bizarre statement to the parents of his victims.
The same hands that pulled the trigger to kill your son now masturbate on their memories. Damn. That's fucking crazy, bro. Even for a killer. Bro, how do lawyers even feel defending this kind of nigga, bro? Are they just doing it for the bag? Like, I understand. If it's for money, I'm doing it. But damn. That's gotta suck. I love you.
Only a true degenerate would say such in court, but Lane wasn't done showing the world how much of a retard he was. While incarcerated at the Allen Correctional Institution in Lima, Ohio, Lane had been disciplined 7 times in 18 months. This would include 2 attempts at giving himself tattoos and urinating on a prison wall, each of which led to his recreational privileges being suspended for about a week or 10 days. But he wasn't done. He and 2 older inmates tried escaping from this place on September 11th, 2014. The escape attempt began at 7:38 p.m., triggering a fence alarm as the inmates scaled it. By 7:45 p.m., law enforcement was alerted to the breach. A staff member spotted the group at 7:47 p.m. and managed to catch one escapee, 33-year-old child killer, Lindsay Bruce.
Child killer?
Now, these guys had spent months constructing a ladder using materials from a crawl space near the recreation yard, and they used that ladder to climb a building near the prison's entrance, jumping 15 feet down and fleeing through a soybean field. News of Lane's escape terrified his old schoolmates and teachers that the entire Chardon school district had to cancel school the next day, fearing that he might want to enact another shooting. Lane evaded capture for nearly 6 hours, but was eventually found about 100 yards from the prison by a police dog in a wooded area. This kid was in a medium security prison, but after that crap, Lane got transferred to the Ohio State Penitentiary, a supermax prison, where he's going to be held for 23 hours a day in his cell. How'd that work out for you?
Robert Ledford remembers the gunman, Eric Houston, a high school dropout who stormed onto campus.
A dropout! Nigga, that's even worse than shooting the school as a student. You a fucking dropout. You a grown-ass nigga with dead ass with a fucking life, and you gonna go shoot up a school. Nigga, you already chopped, nigga. How you dropped out like, you dropped out like 6 or 4 years ago, and you already just fucking cooked.
With a .22 caliber rifle and a shotgun. In all, 4 people died and 10 others were injured before the gunman finally surrendered.
You know, it's not often that school shooters face the death penalty, mainly because they're usually minors. But what happens when a 20-year-old man grabs a gun and decides to slaughter a bunch of innocent...
20 years, nigga? Boy, that's when life starts to get fun. Why the fuck would you just go up and shoot up a school, nigga? If you were trying to kill someone, kill yourself, bro. That's an easier method. Easier way to go out.
Kids. While this fucker gets condemned to death row, that's what happens. May 1st, 1992. 20-year-old Eric Houston, former student of Lyndhurst High School in Olivehurst, California, would return to campus armed with a 12-gauge pump-action shotgun and a sawed-off .22 caliber rifle. As soon as he gets into the school, Houston fatally shoots Robert Brenz, his former civics teacher. Without hesitation, he kills Judy Davis, a student in Brent's classroom, before continuing on his rampage. As he makes it down the hallway, he shoots and kills student Jason Edward White. Even though the school went into lockdown, Houston wasn't finished. He entered a classroom with around 30 students in it, and within minutes would take 80 people hostage. Now, to fully grasp what the hell happened, it's crucial to understand what drove Houston to such a horrific.
What was it? Let me get. Alright, for 2 or 3 of you niggas actually watching this video, let me guess. Take a guess. Was it he got rejected by a girl 3 years ago? Did he get... No, I think he took it out because probably he got a D or a C in one of his assignments and fucking remember that shit until he was 20 and boom, and got out. I don't fucking know what I'm saying.
Act. Houston had been spiraling after losing his job, and his failure to graduate from high school or even get a GED.
Nigga, after a fucking job, nigga, you can go get a job anywhere, nigga. You can be an OF model. You can sell drugs. You can do any bad thing to get money. You can just work a normal job. Bro, getting a job is not that serious, nigga. I got a job right now, bro. And I got a job and I got a job and I'm already applying for a college right now, nigga. It's not that deep. I graduated like 3 months ago.
Would only fuel his frustrations. So during his time at Lyndhurst High, he had dropped out due to poor grades, and from that point on, his life seemed to unravel. His relationship ended, he couldn't keep his job, and he harbored deep resentment toward Mr. Brenz, the teacher who had failed him in an economics class back in 1989. So none of this justifies the senseless killings. But for Houston, his anger and bitterness had reached a breaking point. Once he had control of the classroom, Houston held his hostages for an intense 8-hour standoff with police, releasing several of them throughout the day while negotiating. By the end of the ordeal, at around 10 p.m., he finally surrendered after being promised, falsely, that he'd served no more than 5 years in a minimum security prison. Now in his 40s, Houston remains on death row at San Quentin State Prison, California's oldest prison, and the only one housing male death row inmates. Since his incarceration, his behavior hasn't been exemplary, but he may become the first person executed by the state.
Chopped. I can see your titties through your shirt. You can see them titties too, right? So, basically what I'm trying to say, if he's in prison right now, how much you wanna bet that nigga's taking dick every single fucking day? He's taking dick.
Since 2006, if carried out, Houston would face death by lethal injection, the only method currently allowed under California law. Despite that, Houston has appealed his sentence, but the California Supreme Court upheld his trial and confirmed the death penalty.
Michael Carneal was 14 years old when he walked into the lobby of Heath High School in Paducah.
Oh, come on, bro. 14 years old, bro. You didn't even touch pussy. You didn't even touch boozy. Bro, you didn't do anything with your life. You were a kid. You were a minor, my nigga.
Paducah and opened fire on a prayer group. He killed 3 students and injured 5 others.
I think he did it for love.
The man who shot and killed 3 people at a Paducah high school 25 years ago will not get out of prison.
To this day, I still don't understand why he even has the option of parole.
In September 2022, residents of West Paducah, Kentucky, grew uneasy at
What the fuck is going on with my state, nigga? 2 of the shooters here were from my state.
the news of Michael Carneal, the man who had shaken their community.
Bro, that's McLoving right there, bro. I didn't know, bro, nigga. You could have stayed with your homies, smoked and had sex, bro. You didn't have to go shoot up a school.
Community 25 years ago was about to get out of jail. His actions had drawn reporters from across the country and left lasting sorrow to his victims and all those affected by his actions. You see, back in the 90s, Carneal was a victim of bullying, depression, and extreme paranoia. While he attended Heath High School in Kentucky, his paranoia would make him cover vents and windows at his house, feared he was being watched, while he would also avoid.
Who the fuck is even watching this nigga? And how the fuck do you niggas get paranoid? Like, the only time I get paranoid is when I'm off that Zal. That's the only time I get paranoid. That's it. And how the fuck, nigga, how you even get bullied, bro? Like, for anybody who's getting bullied out there, that sounds like a you problem. It looks like you have your own problem right there. If you get bullied, that sounds like a you problem. Don't take it out on anybody. Go to the gym, work out, get muscles, or you can do the same thing when anybody does. Hire a fucking homeless nigga to beat him for you.
avoid his classmates. In 1997, his mental breakdown reached its breaking point, making Carneal plot out a very deadly school shooting. So weeks before the incident, he would steal a .38 caliber handgun from his parents, intending to sell it, though another student ended up taking it after threatening to report him. Carneal would hint to his classmates that something big was going to happen. But given he was already the weird kid in class, no one took him seriously. This kid stole various firearms from both his house and a neighbor's residence. And on Thanksgiving Day, he took several rifles, ammunition, and even earplugs from his neighbor's garage. He also went back to take the .22 pistol and mags, as well as 2 shotguns from his father's closet. Now it's December 1st, 1997, the Monday after Thanksgiving.
Wait, so this nigga was out there posted up like a Terminator. Literally out there waiting for students so he can get the KD ratio. That's fucking crazy.
Carneal carries a shotgun and rifle wrapped in a blanket to school. He disguised the weapons as an art project and also had a loaded .22 caliber pistol in his backpack. He arrived on campus at around 7:45 a.m. with his sister, and immediately he gets past the gate, puts his earplugs in, takes his pistol out, and fires 10 shots at a student prayer group, leaving 3 dead and 10 injured. But right after he fired, it seemed like Carneal snapped out of an illusion as he dropped the pistol, surrendered to the principal, and yelled that he should also be killed. He would tell reporters that he couldn't pinpoint a single reason for his actions apart from his misguided belief that his parents and classmates hated him. Fast forward about 10 months later, Carneal takes a plea deal that factored in his mental illness. Yet the plea deal added an unexpected twist to an already dark and unsettling case. As part of this deal, and because he was a minor at the time of the crime, Carneal was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 25 years. Now this raised the unsettling prospect that
That's how he looks like now? Damn.
he could become one of the first school shooters ever released from prison. But while the thought of his release was frightening enough for the community, Carneal faced even more challenges during his time behind bars. He was initially held at Northern Kentucky Youth Development Center, but when he turned 18, he was taken to the Kentucky State Reformatory in LaGrange, where he remains incarcerated to this day. But in 2007, Carneal, after getting diagnosed with schizotypal personality disorder and dysthymia, appealed that he was too mentally unwell to have pleaded guilty to the Heath High School shooting, so he requested a retrial. But his appeal was denied. 5 years later, in 2012, Carneal again sought to withdraw his guilty plea, stating that he was mentally ill when he entered it. However, later that year, his appeal was again rejected. Then, in the final attempt to get out of jail, Carneal applied for parole in 2022, having completed his 25-year jail term. But the Kentucky Parole Board unanimously rejected his parole request and ultimately made him ineligible for any future parole hearings. Now, at 39 years old, his dreams of getting out of this place are gone.
Friends and families and the whole community, I'm sorry for what I did.
Friends, family, community, Peter Griffin is fucking